Hello, everybody. We are live in the hallway of DSS. That's the Digital Shelf Summit. Here we are. And I have a new friend as we talk about People Matter. This gentleman, Gregor Murray, just reached out on the linky and he's like, hey, love the show. I'm at DSS. We should chat. So Gregor, welcome. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the program.
Great to finally meet you, Scott.
Yes.
Lovely to be here. Thank you for allowing me on the podcast.
You should have a proper applause.
Love it.
I'm a little late on that.
Love it.
So, again, we don't get into who are you and your whole bio because that takes too much time. But just tell me who you are. What do you do? You just came off stage here at the DSS. You're important. I like it. Go.
So I'm Gregor Murray. I am a co-founder and chief SOWOT officer of Digital Commerce Global. We are an independent digital commerce benchmarking company. We exist to help remove the guesswork from digital commerce for manufacturers. We work with manufacturers all around the world, and we help them understand their digital commerce capabilities and how they compare to their peers, their competitors, and to the leaders in the industry. And like you say, I've just been on stage here at DSS, and I've been talking about the capabilities that differentiate the leaders in digital commerce from the average manufacturers, and the value in terms of incremental growth that comes from, and what those capabilities are that are differentiating between the leaders and the average. Okay, well, that was a tease. For the listeners and anybody, our faithful 93 subscribers on the YouTube. Hello, all of you. As the wind tunnel, the banner's taking a beating here. Yeah. So what were without revealing, right? I don't want you to give away too much because people need to call you and sign up and work with you and pay you big money, which you deserve. But is there some big kind of little key, simple, common sense thing that separates these players? So look, the way I started the session an hour ago was by saying most manufacturers are stalled on the digital shelf and they don't know it. And when I say they're stalled on the digital shelf, what I mean is they're putting in more time, but not necessarily making more impact. They've got more resource, but they're not necessarily getting more cut through. They're putting in more investment, but not getting more ROI. Their sales are growing, but actually they can be losing share at the same time. They've got more data, but they're not making more actions. God, you're talking my language, Gregor. Thank you. It's like if I see another dashboard, I might throw up. Yeah, well, I kind of feel exactly the same way. And, one of the points that was on the slide actually is there's more metrics, but less clarity. God, yeah, that's another bell. In fact, you know what? That gets a freaking hallelujah. God. Unbelievable. This is brilliant. It's just like, what does it mean and why should I care? Yeah. When I ran my little shop, when my teammates come to me, it's like, you're showing me all these metrics, all this, again, and I'm not dismissing it or it's all, I understand, but you have to tell me, like, what does it mean and why should I care? Yeah. What are we doing? Is it going to make us money? Yeah, exactly. And also, how do you want me to do it? Yes. Right? And so, I made this statement. I talked about what it meant. And then what I said was, in the benchmarking that we do with manufacturers, hundreds of manufacturers all around the world, we've gathered this data set where we've got a framework of digital commerce capabilities. We call it SEEK, stands for Strategy, Enablers, Execution, and Culture. There are 45 capabilities that sit within SEEK. And when we benchmark manufacturers, we're benchmarking them against those 45 capabilities. And every manufacturer gets a score out of 400. So effectively, for each one of those 4 pillars, Strategy, Enablers, Execution, Culture, you can get a maximum of 100 points. And here in North America, the average manufacturer over the last year scored 252. 253. Now, listener, if you heard his southern accent, we are in Atlanta. My southern accent? I'm from Scotland. I was described recently. Yes, obviously, I love your accent. We all the Americans, we love the. Are you Scottish? Yeah, we love the accent. I was described recently by one of my clients as DCOM's Gordon Ramsay. Yes, I love that. That's good stuff there. I quite like that because I do the slap of the hands. Do you? Are you do you come right at the camera, just close ups? Oh, absolutely. Just absolutely terrorizing people. Yeah. And then hugging them. Yeah, a little bit. Like, put my arm around them and help them move forward. Right. So okay, so so 253 out of 400. Out of 400. Right? That doesn't seem great. I'm not gonna lie, Gregor. It seems okay. It's like 62%. Okay, now I unfortunately did not see your presentation because I was here recording. One of my thoughts, okay, is that an outcome of just the maturation of digital? Because remember, and people are like, oh, e-commerce isn't growing, which I throw cold water on. And I'm like, wait, are we forgetting 2021 where it grew 100 bazillion %?
Yeah.
Yes, the law of large volume. And remember, if we're not going to grow 80% a year over a year, you know what I'm saying? This is nuts.
I mean, I would dispute that as well, right? I would say your decom might not be growing, but decom is growing. And
yes.
Decom in almost every category
correct.
is growing.
Correct.
And
better than retail.
When I look at like the leaders in my benchmark, the top 10% of manufacturers,
yes,
their capability numbers are up like 293.
Okay.
And they are typically growing 8% last year faster than the average manufacturer.
Okay. Oh, 8% faster than. Okay.
Faster than the average manufacturer.
Okay.
Right? And when I look at my data over the last 5 years, what I see is that the score for the average manufacturers has stayed broadly the same.
Yeah.
The scores for the leading manufacturers, that has accelerated significantly. It's gone from 263 to 293 in 5 years. And consistently in every one of those years, those leaders have grown 6%, 7%, 8% faster than the average. And the interesting thing about that growth level is that, firstly, it's consistently growing ahead of the average. Secondly, the number is increasing every year. And thirdly, that number is compounding. So they grew 6% faster in the first year, another 6% in the second year. That's 12% in the second year. And then it's bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're here 5 years later, and the leading manufacturers are typically growing almost 40% faster.
And there's obvious market share.
Compounded. And they're taking market share, and they're taking sales, and they're taking customers. And they're building this capability lead that is getting to the point where it's almost unassailable.
Yes.
And so the gulf between the leaders and the average is getting wider, and the leaders are taking sales, they're taking share, and there's going to get to a point soon where if manufacturers haven't built those capabilities, they're not going to be able to close that gap. And one of the things that I said on stage is, like, you cannot hope to pass a competitor running slower than them. Damn! Love that. Brilliant. So,
yeah, someone famous said hope is not a strategy.
It's not. It really isn't. And like when I look at the differences between some of the leaders and the average, it's like the leaders are prioritizing.
Okay, let's play a game.
Sure.
You want to play a game? We usually have a game show on the show.
Love
it's
it.
usually, what's that keyword? But Haley Brucker in the news, she's not here. Sometimes I bring game shows on the road. I don't have one today, but I have a game.
Sure.
Okay, I've never met you, right? We've never met personally.
Yep.
Right? You have this Seek. Is that the okay?
Yep.
Can I guess some of the key things that make the leaders? Again, I'm guessing.
Sure,
I'm completely guessing.
Absolutely. Go for it.
I'm probably gonna just whiff on this.
All right.
Number one. Oh, let me qualify one thing. So the manufacturers that you work with across this huge globally, which is, God, that's fascinating because each market works so. Anyway, that's fascinating to me. Are there in certain verticals? There's certain categories, type of manufacturers? CPG is this? Are we all over the place?
We work mostly with CPGs, but that's purely because that's where my knowledge and experience comes from.
Okay.
And we've built a lot of traction there very quickly.
Okay.
But the Seek model, because the algorithm treats all products the same,
yes,
the Seek model treats every product the same. So I can apply exactly the same question, same logic to trainers as I would do to cereals.
Okay. So here's my first guess.
Sure.
One of my guesses would be the leaders. It's an internal organization structure. So we have a whole thing here, silos equal sadness.
Yep.
And you lose money. When you have sadness, money goes away. So one of my guesses would be they're actually more holistically organized, and they're all actually in the room understanding how digital works with physical, and their ad campaigns, all the integral confluences of inputs.
Yep.
Are shared, and their incentives for however reason, they have much more shared combined incentives rather than P&L ownership, this bonus and this bonus. There's no conflicting. That's one of my guesses. Is it?
You are absolutely bang on correct. So
oh my God.
You just should give yourself
oh
a
my
round of
God. What
applause
do I
on that
get?
one.
What do I get? I'm going to give myself a chime. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Love that. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So one of the things that differentiates leaders from average manufacturers is leaders align the entire organization Average manufacturers are struggling to align the silos within their organization. And
Boom.
there's a huge differentiator between that in terms of roles and responsibilities, processes, ways of working, and organizational alignment. And one of the ways that the leaders are generating market leading growth is by aligning the organization, committing everybody. The one thing I'd add to it is around prioritization, because a lot of the leaders, they're not trying to measure 300 different metrics. They're trying to measure 5.
And everybody's on the same say, and then everybody has the common incentive,
exactly
right?
exactly.
I see so much incentive conflict. It is no fault of the people who own those teams or own those P&Ls. They're doing what they were hired to do, and their bonus comes with what they're trying to do.
Yep.
But then the CEO and the CEO, then they're always pissed. The board's pissed because they're not making these gains. And it's like, hey kids, you need to get everybody in the room, because we're not all rowing the same, as they say.
Yeah.
Because I don't blame this person or that person. Their job is to do this to get this. Then they're pissed because the other department is taking share or doing this, or the price. It goes on and on.
Well, it goes even more fundamental than that, right? So every manufacturer that I speak to will tell me that they have prioritized all of their customers, and there are gold, silver, and bronze, or tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 customers. And then I say to them, how many of your salespeople are incentivized for growth? All of them.
Yeah.
Well, you can't grow every single customer. You can't say we've prioritized our customers, but we're aiming to grow all of them, because you've got different salespeople effectively going after the same wallets, the same audience, the same target. And you want to be where your customers are. You want to be available. But if you're targeting everybody for growth, everybody's going to go after every single opportunity. And again, when you look at the capabilities of those leading manufacturers, what you see very clearly is they have defined what it is they're trying to do. They've defined where they want to play. They've defined who they want to play with. And if you've got an opportunity that doesn't sit in that, it's gone. Like, they're just not interested, because it's a waste of time and a waste of resources and a waste of energy and investment. And there's only so much that we can do as manufacturers. We've only got so much time in the day and in the week.
Yes.
You have to prioritize what you want people to do.
Okay, let me add. Now I'm done with because I'm 1 for 1. I'm going to leave.
I'm
going to leave 1 for 1.
While you're ahead.
I'm going to completely quit. Here's my other question. Within CPGs and a lot of whatever, it doesn't mean, I have a customer in the candy and gourmet, whatever. There's been P&G, I think, started this. Do you think it's changing where a lot of these CPG brands have just a lot of brands and a lot of different verticals through acquisition, blah, blah, blah. You have brand managers. Typically, there's a brand org chart. Is that how do you see that shifting? Is that good? Is it bad? Again, I have no opinion here. I don't know. I've experienced all of it. Is there anything of these leaders, how they think about brand teams and how the brand teams direct all the other pieces and parts, or how is this? What's happening?
I think working with lots of different manufacturers over the years, there is no one structure.
Okay.
Like when it comes to trading grocery in store, like every manufacturer operates to pretty much the same model. You have account controllers or account directors, you have account managers, you have account executives, you have customer people.
Okay.
Like everybody's got broadly the same. When it comes to digital commerce, there is no one right way of working.
Interesting. That's a juicy nugget right there. I'm going to give you a juicy nugget right there, Gregor.
It's a wonderful case study at some point. Like if you're in digital commerce and you want to take inspiration from other manufacturers, if you look at the way Nestle operate, the way Mars operate, the way that Unilever operate and P&G operate, the way that AB InBev operate or Diageo operate, what you will find is actually very divergent targets, very divergent approaches to the market.
Really?
And yet, even though Mars, Nestle, L'Oreal, Unilever or P&G, whatever, even though they've got a different approach, they're being successful. They are growing their sales. They're taking share. You don't have to copy. You just have to focus on what's right for your customers. And one of the things that we're seeing with digital commerce more so than in traditional in-store is that the customer is the one that is deciding.
Yes.
The customer is choosing where they're buying and when they're buying. And like if I look at my own family as examples, like my parents still go to the same supermarket that they've been going to for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And they chose that supermarket because it's the closest one to their house.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you do in terms of price activation or media or advertising. They are still going to go to exactly the same supermarket.
I am so with them.
The way that my wife and I shop is very different, because actually the way we shop is whoever can deliver to my house at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night gets my business. And I'm not loyal to any of the supermarkets nearby. I've got an online basket for each of them.
Yeah.
And whichever one can deliver at 8 p.m. on a Wednesday night, because that's when we're in, they get our business. My children are going to shop very differently again.
Yeah.
And the leading manufacturers, one of the things that they are doing, you talked about having lots of brands and lots of markets and very complex.
Yeah.
What they're doing is they're testing and learning.
Okay.
They have chosen specific brands and they're saying, right, we're going to experiment with these things on this brand in this market. And in a different market, we're going to experiment with different things. And a different market, we'll experiment with different things. And we're going to take all of those learnings, we're going to share them with everybody. The leading manufacturers are testing, they're learning, they're sharing those learnings. The average manufacturers, the ones that are really struggling with digital commerce, they're the ones that aren't experimenting, or even if they are, they're not even sharing that they've made a mistake, or they've had a failure, and it hasn't worked.
So
and that's a concern.
That's a huge concern. And I think the consumer signals now, the old days, right? The old days out there, was you had focus groups, you did surveys, you hired consumer research companies, which are still doing. They're doing it differently today. There's some phenomenal consumer research out there. It's just how they're getting the data, and the signals could be differently. Isn't it easier now to get signals from consumers and what they like and what test and learn than ever before, or is it more hard because we're complex? Like you said, we have different buying habits. I don't know. What's going on?
Well, one of the things that I've seen, right? So manufacturers have access to more data than they know what to do with.
Yes.
Now, the challenge isn't access to data. It's knowing what to do with it. And I've sat in too many meeting rooms or too many Teams meetings where as soon as people don't know what to do with the data, what action they should take, their gut instinct is challenge the data. Well, these two data points conflict. Oh, well, that might not be the case because, I'm not 100% certain the robustness of that data. And I know of manufacturers who've done RFPs for their data provider because they've created so much internal doubt about the data, they've gone to a different provider. And actually, guess what? The numbers should be the same.
They probably are the same.
They should be the same. It's not a problem of access to data. It's about knowing what to do with it. And again, those leading manufacturers, they're the ones that have tested, they've experimented, they've said, right, for this metric, if we change this, what happens? If we change this, does our sales go up? Does it go down? Oh, okay, it's gone up. Great. How do we roll that out? How do we take that to other places? Oh, it's gone down. How do we go back? They're the ones that are, like when I was an account manager, we would set our plan for the year. We'd kind of typically do it in September or October time. You do it based on a set of assumptions. The leading manufacturers are the ones who are going back and they're constantly stress testing those assumptions. Are they still right? Yes, they are. Great. How do we double down on that piece of growth? No, they're not. What's changed? Why has it changed? What impact does that have? What lever do we now need to pull? And sadly, again, we see a lot manufacturers defaulting back to price when it comes to digital and in-store, because that's like the lever that they can do. They can put in more activation.
It's the easiest lazy lever you can pull.
But in digital, it should actually be the very last lever that you pull, because you've got so much more control over the way that your products are presented and the way that you speak to your customers and who you target and how you target and when you target them, and what your call to action is and what your media is and how you create relevance. There's so many more things that the manufacturer controls.
Yeah.
When I see manufacturers default to price, it really concerns me.
Yeah.
Because again, the leaders aren't doing that. Like the leaders, price is the last thing they do. And okay, I get it. You're on promotion in store.
Yeah, but I got to grow sales. I put the price down, my sales go up.
Yeah, you shift more volume. But a lot of the time, all you're doing is bringing forward sales that you would have got later, potentially at full price. And actually in digital, because of all of the tools that we've got, all the levers we've got available to us, we should be looking at how do we build our full value sales rather than how do we shift volume on price. Yeah, at the end of the day, manufacturers are in business to make money for manufacturers,
Yes.
not for retailers.
Oh,
It's
God,
nice if you
just-
can make money for retailers as well, don't get me wrong, but you're in business to make money
But
for
this
you.
is the dawn. This is why D2C, and when I mean direct to consumer, I mean physical direct to consumer stores. I tell this story all the time. I was at North Face, huge brand, in 2004, and I'll never forget at the time the president, they were scared to tell the salespeople. I was a key account manager for a big retailer. They didn't want to tell us, but they had to tell us that they were opening all these stores all over the country. And the reason was because they were so tired of the retailer dictating all kinds of things. They were growing their assortment. They wanted to tell the story. They wanted to propose these other categories they're getting into. And at the end of the day, it was a hell of a lot more profitable. So that was before the dawn of huge internet D2C, right? That is D2C. So I think this is also, yes, everybody wants to win. The retailer has to win, all these other win. But yes, that's a great point. That is such a great point. Manufacturers got to make money. I got a whole thing for that, actually. Show me the money. This is one of my favorites of all time.
Show me the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that manufacturers seem to have forgotten is they are in business to make money for themselves. Their job is to create demand, to convert demand, and then to work out how to make profit from that demand. Right? It's particularly in digital, there are now almost infinite numbers of ways that you can create demand. You've got to find them. You've got to find what works for your customers. You've got to create relevance, see where they're shopping from, create the relevance to that point of shopping, convert it, and then make money from it. That's your task.
Okay,
right?
Let me ask you another question I ask all the time to our, again, we're dealing mostly small vendors. I'm always trying, when I'm planning, my one of my thoughts is, with you add all the different stuff, what is it going to cost us to get that sale? How do you approach that? How do you think about that?
It's a really interesting one because, again, manufacturers have almost been trained by retailers that the only sale that matters is the one at the point of sale. Point of sale. Every customer is a new customer. It's difficult to create loyalty in store. But online, we should always be looking at how can we convert the customer earlier? How can we find them before they get to the moment of search? Because the moment of search at the moment on Amazon or on Walmart or in Tesco, that's like the most expensive place to find a customer. But if you can get them a lot earlier, further up the funnel, if you still believe there is a traditional funnel, I know a lot of manufacturers don't, but if you can engage them earlier in their shopper journey, if you can create relevance to their consumer needs, to their customer mission, to their shopper journey, if you can guide them to a point of purchase, build that relevance, you can both create conversion and create loyalty. And almost try and freeze out some of your rival products. And when you look at some of the digitally native brands, like some of the really, really good ones that are now crossing over and are now on the physical shelf, they don't play by the same rules that traditional FMCG manufacturers do. They are much better at building engagement, building awareness, building demand before the moment of search, before the point of sale, and then converting it sometimes without ever having to interact with a search and they're creating loyalty in different ways as well, because again, they're understanding that shopper journey. They're understanding what loyalty genuinely means to their customer base, and then they're converting it. And there's some amazing examples of particularly direct-to-consumer businesses. Like one of my absolute favorites is Huel. They've just been acquired by Danone. They are standout, one of the best direct-to-consumer businesses that I've ever experienced. Their full end-to-end customer experience is fantastic. But again, if you want to look at an established manufacturer that has turned loyalty into an art form, look at Lego. Like what Lego do in digital is phenomenal. They're an example to everybody.
It's great case. Yes, absolutely. Great point.
They create loyalty in so many different ways. People just keep going back to the point where my wife tells me I've already got too much Lego in my house, and yet I still seem to find space for more. But Lego has transcended what it used to be. It used to be a children's toy. It absolutely isn't anymore. They built this really loyal fan base. They engage them across all of the different channels that they're a part of, and they're not using price to do it.
No.
Fuel don't use price to do it either. There are different ways to incentivize using digital. And one of the things that I talk to manufacturers about a lot is like, look for other ways, understand your customer journey differently, look for different ways to create loyalty, create engagement, create awareness, convert your customers before they get to the moment of search, so you're locking in that sale before one of your competitors gets a chance to try and steal that sale.
Right. So I talk a lot about defensive measures, especially on Amazon, because it's such a cluster, and you gotta, if the second you take your eye off the ball, my God, you're gonna be you're lunch eating. But okay, what's the biggest, get you out of here kind of on this, we'll start it, but what is the biggest pushback you get to these manufacturers who call you and go, you know what, I heard you, or you're doing some great jobs here. Our score, according to your thing, is low. We know it. We've identified it. We need to make some changes. But and you go in and say, this is the thing. Here's what we got to do. Here's whatever. And then what is is there a common big pushback?
Yeah.
What is it?
The common pushback is prove the return, prove the value return on it, right? But the really interesting thing that we find, right, is like, so I stood up on stage and I talked about the capabilities that are driving that market leading growth for the best in the industry. And it's all roles and responsibilities, processes, senior leader understanding and engagement, cross-functional alignment. It's not the hard capabilities like content optimization or search optimization, the things that most manufacturers have already done.
Right.
It's a lot more of those softer things. And one of the things that I said while I was on stage is all of the capabilities that are creating that market leading growth, they're all internal. They're all internally facing. And here's the other really interesting thing about them. Like, how much does it cost you to improve your ways of working? Nothing.
And it's getting less.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
How much does it cost you to improve your processes, to engage the digital team earlier in new product launches or whatever? Nothing. So we've got manufacturers who are out there who are spending $100,000 on some, let's hope we can optimize for Rufus campaign.
Yes.
Without any guarantee that they're going to get any form of return for it.
Yes.
And yet the leaders are growing 8% in the last year, faster than average. And you can get that just by changing your ways of working, unlocking your processes, engaging your, and it costs nothing.
You're right.
And somebody will always say to me in all the workshops that I do, what's the low hanging fruit here? Like, what are the quick wins? These capabilities are, when it comes to fruit, they're strawberries. They hang so low, you have to bend over to pick them. These wins are so quick. They come dressed in a Jamaican sprinting outfit. These are the Usain Bolt of wins. And manufacturers like, oh yeah, but we'd much rather do this thing over here because it's shiny and it's sexy and it's different.
Yes, and somebody thinks
we've got to do AI.
Yes, the brand. It makes my brand look and all this stuff, right? They get caught in the vanity or whatever is.
But the things that are really making the difference, they're all internal capabilities. And I'll tell you what, if you don't improve your roles and responsibilities, your communication lines, your cross-functional engagement, your senior leader engagement, it does not matter how much money you spend on agentic. All you're going to do is be bad faster.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. So I talk a lot about, based on my experience, and this is rightly so. And again, every situation is customized and there's a million different disclaimers. I believe at the end of the day, CFOs kind of run the world.
Yeah.
Do you agree or disagree with that?
I think if you were to take the last 20 years of manufacturing, retail, CPG, whatever, FMCG, whatever you want to call it, and sum them up in two words, those words would be inflation and efficiencies. Okay?
Yeah.
Inflation is here to stay. We are going to see inflation in the market.
This, not to go here, but this cracks me up when people are like, we raise prices because, again, out of COVID, there was massive demand, little supply. So we all were full price. You think we're going to go off that? You think earnings calls, you think quarterly public companies can be like, yeah, sorry, kids, we had lost a lot of money this. No, they're gonna lower their prices only if they lose demand and they lose market share of whatever. But come on. It's not going down. The bag of Frito-Lay is not. You're not going to get more Fritos in there.
So, if you look at those two words, right? So inflation's with us.
Yeah.
Efficiencies now if you're a manufacturer and you've still got like $50 million worth of efficiency savings that you can make this year, like honestly, what have you been doing for the last 20 years? Like, the efficiencies well is close to tapped out. And yes, AI is going to unlock some efficiencies that we might have not been able to get to before.
Right.
But in all honesty, the supply chain is getting to the point where it cannot get more efficient.
Yeah.
The supply chain ain't going to change. The value chain ain't going to change, right? So you think about the next 20 years. What is it going to be about? Inflation is going to stay with us. For me, the other word is demand. And I think over the last 20 years, when we've been so focused on efficiencies, manufacturers have almost forgotten how to create demand for their products.
Yeah.
But in a world where the consumer has an infinite choice of what they buy, where they buy, who they can compete with, how they can compare, et cetera, like your ability as a manufacturer to create demand, harness that demand, convert that demand, and profit from that demand, that's going to be the difference between success and failure. So for me, the next 20 years of manufacturing and retail is going to be about how do we create demand again? How do we create demand in digital? Because that's the area that's growing. Like in-store is still driving the volume. I totally get that.
Yep.
85% of the volume still going through in-store. Totally understand that. But where is the demand coming from? Where is the growth coming from? It's coming from digital. Yes, it's going to come from agentic to an extent as well. But one of the things that we already know about the likes of Perplexity and ChatGPT, they're not retailers.
No.
They are referral marketplaces at best. So if your digital commerce capabilities aren't great, they're not going to be able to refer you.
Yeah.
They're not going to find you to be able to refer you. You're not going to be able to convert the demand that is being created in agentic. So creating demand is going to be absolutely essential to the next 20 years success for manufacturers, for retailers, right? How manufacturers go about doing that? Firstly, build your digital commerce capabilities. There's incremental growth that will come from it. And I would gladly speak to any manufacturer about that wants to contact me.
Yes, absolutely. Because this is what I'm taking from what you're laying down. Okay. I'm a real simple dude. Is you got to look inward, almost turn the mirrors on internal. Like that's a starting thing to me is turn inside and have somebody like you or somebody come and go, hey, how right? Let's learn from best practices.
Absolutely.
And let's turn it inside. And maybe we need to configure things differently.
Well, look, if you say, right, well, the next 10, 20 years is going to be about creating demand. We need to, 50% increase the amount of demand that we're creating in the marketplace, 10x it or 50x or whatever.
Yeah.
If your internal processes and ways of working and functional silos don't allow you to satisfy that demand, it's worthless.
It's worthless. You're hosed.
Exactly.
There's sadness everywhere.
It might not be sexy. It might not be attractive. It might not be the thing that you want to be shouting about. But if you can't control those controllables internally, you're never going to be able to benefit from what is going on. And like we said right at the very beginning, there is demand out there. It's down to the manufacturer now to work out how to harness that demand, convert that demand, and make money from that demand.
Wow. I love it because I'm from the U.S. economic side with all the other stuff going on. I'm always concerned. Again, I'm not an economics major, but it's like common sense. Like you mess with demand and you got serious problems. And that has been my concern for a while. Because that bad stuff starts happening if you mess with demand.
Yeah.
Now you guys work all over the world.
Yeah, we do.
And again, I don't know if I want to get into it, but like, is there big differences between the European market and the UK market and all? I from selling to retail my whole life and how they work and as far as retail is in certain parts of Europe, whatever, it is a different game. A lot of European brands come to America and they try to do the playbook and they're sad because it doesn't work here because it's just different. The consumer reaction, behavior, all those things are different. But am I just full of beans? Is it really all the same at the end of the day?
You're not at all. So when we look at our framework, SEEK, so strategy, enables execution, culture, when you look at North America, they're very, very strong execution capabilities, very execution focused. Get it done, get it on the shelf, get it on the digital shelf. Get those execution capabilities done, nailed. Or it's not forget everything else, but the cultural capabilities nowhere near as strong. You go to Europe, where We have a lot more complexity of language, a lot more complexity of borders. We've got a lot more retailers with a lot more power in different markets, but you go 20 miles down the road, you're in a different country, they've got no power at all. You have to focus a lot more on enablers, because it's those enablers that are going to get you through to make the most of the execution.
Got it.
You go to Asia, very different again. Cultural capabilities are hugely important in the Asian market because manufacturers have to be more agile. So those processes, those operationals, those ways of working, we've got to work together to deliver. Like when Singles Day is 80% of your total sales, if you're not completely aligned around delivering for that and delivering now,
see you later.
See you later. And again, with things like content, like if you can't generate content at speed, you're never going to succeed in WeChat. You're never going to succeed in social commerce. So the capabilities that are required in different markets in different regions are very, very different. Latin America, again, very focused on executional capabilities, and some of that's to do with the retailers that they've got. Amazon is massive, Walmart's massive, Mercado Libre obviously massive, lent into digital commerce very early on, hugely important too.
Mercado, again, I'm fascinated by this. I don't think we talk enough about Mercado Libre, what they did with their payments, how they have become like in the fabric of the people's lives there, right?
Yeah, but one of the great things that they've been able to do, harness loyalty.
Yeah. And then it gets the question, India, when Amazon opened, and again, my perspective, I'm deep in the Amazon space. I'm like, why they should be killing it down in India. Now there's some infrastructure issues, but when I talk to some friends that are there in those local markets, they're like, they're finally making some headway because they have this speed delivery down. They figured out a couple things there. So do you see that? Is India still a big market potential, or?
I think India is a massive potential purely because of the
population
huge,
density. And they're so smart. They're like one of the smartest countries in the world.
You've got to have that speed. You've got to be able to get the product to your customer very quickly. There's this wonderful expert called Britton Ladd, who
I know Britton Ladd. I follow Britton Ladd.
He's fantastic, and one of the things that he talks about is one of the success factors for the future is going to be about getting your product closer to your customer.
Yeah, the last mile delivery, whatever.
Well, it's not necessarily just the last mile, but it's about how do you make sure that when demand is there, you are able to convert it. You're able to deliver within your customer's expectations quickly, efficiently, and profitably. So, in India, they've really nailed this concept of that last mile, that quick commerce delivery. Quick commerce hasn't worked. Like in Europe, we've had quick commerce operators and aggregators. All of the operators pretty much died. The aggregators, the Ubers, the Deliveroos, they still exist because that model existed before. All they've done is consolidate it. Okay. But the operators, the Gettys, the Gorillas, they came, there was a huge amount of fanfare.
Yeah.
But you look at that business model and you think, well, how does anybody make money out of it?
I know.
And they've gone from nothing to multi-billion-dollar valuation back to nothing again in 5 years.
Flash in the pan.
Absolutely. But I think a lot of them were hoping that, Amazon would acquire them and they would become a last mile partner for Amazon. And actually Amazon went in a different direction. So
it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
It's not easy to be there and be able to deliver. Now I give Amazon a lot of crap because it's like, it's so great that I can get a toothbrush in an hour in Seattle. Do I really need that in an hour? No. Because guess who gets to pay for that? The vendors and the sellers and the suppliers and the vendors. So that pisses me off.
I think so. I mean, we know that Amazon,
what do you got to say about that, Gregor?
Like, we know Amazon doesn't do grocery particularly well.
Well, yes, I think there's a lot of factors here, inputs, contributions. There's puppies, by the way, driving by us. You can't see them on crabbers, but they brought in all these amazing, adorable puppies. Shout out Lauren Lee Gilbert, Jamie Clapper, Digital Shelf. They brought in puppies. Nice job. That's good demand.
Good work.
That's good lead gen right there. Yeah. My point is that they just on the earnings report said in 2025 they were $150 billion grocer, which makes them basically the second biggest grocer in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay. They figured out it's taken them 25 years to get grocery Whole Foods, right? They've abandoned everything. My other thing is their AOV, their average order value retail, is they've upped the volume but lowered the price because we've lost drug. We don't have mass drug like we used to. And they've sucked up the vacuum that was left of that. I think that's contributing a major part because people are buying all of the essentials and all the just everyday mass drug where there isn't a CVS anymore. There isn't a local drugstore anymore. And Target's kind of weary, getting in and out. Is this happening across the world? I mean, digital grocery, UK has been the leader of digital grocery.
Yeah, I mean, grocery is very established in the UK with the likes of Tesco's and Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
And, we've had Deliveroo and others come in and have kind of scooped up that, part of that quick commerce, get it to your house, absolutely when you need it. But there are distressed purchase categories. Like I am a parent and, there were times when my children needed nappies, I would have paid $1,000 to get somebody to deliver nappies to my house, right? But those occasions, they don't exist enough. They're not common enough. They're not widespread enough to justify that as a business standalone, which is why Deliveroo also do, hot meals to your house from local restaurants and a whole load of other stuff like for utilization. The same with Uber Eats. Amazon should be a lot bigger in grocery. Grocery manufacturers are some of the biggest advertisers in the world.
Yes.
Amazon is the biggest advertising platform in the world. Those two things go together hand in hand.
Yeah.
Amazon should and could get a lot better at grocery around the world. And I'm sure you've got ideas of how they could do it. I certainly have ideas. If Amazon want to contact me, please feel free to do so. I'll share my thoughts with you. But Amazon should be bigger in grocery. They've not quite worked it out. And I don't think they've worked out in any market properly yet. Because, okay, you say there are $150 billion in grocery here in the US, but you strip out Whole Foods from that. What remains?
Well, I don't want to get in the weeds in that. How they report out is now physical. They don't have any other physical locations except Whole Foods, which they've turned around. I mean, actually, it's phenomenal what they've done. They had... Anyway, they've made some leadership changes there that have kind of proved out. But again, I've been in Seattle for 33 years. I remember vividly, and I don't even know, 2006, 2005, I don't remember. They had trucks running around trying to delivering groceries to people. It's just super expensive. These are perishable goods, and they've made a lot of strides and put a lot of investment in it. But anyway, I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
It's so great to meet you. I'm just cheering for all the different things you're trying to help people fix some essential fundamental things that are right there for them.
Yep.
And yes, digital is growing faster than retail. It is what it is. And what a pleasure to meet you.
It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you too. Thank you for allowing me to come on, and I hope I can come on again real soon.
I would love it. Now, just as we exit here, tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, where they can find you. Tell them all this stuff. I'll put the links in. I'll do all that stuff.
Yeah. So I'm Gregor Murray. You can contact me on LinkedIn. Is probably the easiest place to do it. I am the only Chief So What Officer on LinkedIn. So search for Gregor Murray, Chief So What Officer, Digital Commerce Global. Connect with me on LinkedIn and message me there, and we can talk.
Fabulous. Hey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot for having me.
And you're another person, as we like to say, people matter.
They do.
And that's why, because I just met you. And you've been listening to Always Off Brand. More from Digital Summit whenever you hear the next episode.
Hey there, this is Haley from Quickfire, and they want me to read this so you know what this podcast is part of and how to find out more if you want. Always Off Brand is a production of Quickfire LLC and a part of the Learn and Laugh series on the Quickfire Podcast Network. For more information, go to quickfirenow.com. Have a good one, and thanks for listening.